Well, I was worried when the You, Me, and Dupree directors Anthony Russo and Joe Russo were assigned to direct this movie. I was kind of worried at first. I was like, you know what? There's these lesser known directors. They haven't done a lot of stuff. I saw You, Me, and Dupree, but I wasn't like blown away by it. But I gotta say, after seeing the film I'm going to review for you today, Captain America 2: The Winter Soldier, I was very impressed. And not only was I very impressed, I hope to see more from Anthony Russo and Joe Russo after watching this film. So, guys, I'm going to review Captain America 2: The Winter Soldier for you today. I'm very impressed with this movie. This is easily the best Phase 2 Marvel film we've gotten out of all the Phase 2 films so far. I don't think it's quite as good as Iron Man 1 and Avengers for the Phase 2 lineup, but this is very good. I'm not going to complain at all. This is an outstanding film. Like I said, the best of the Phase 2 easily. This easily destroys Iron Man 3 and Thor 2 easily, without a doubt in my mind at all. So for the plot of Captain America 2, you guys, basically Captain America, it's been about I've heard all over the map where the timeline is for this one. Some people say it's a few months after Avengers, and some people say it's about 2 years after the Avengers. It looks like it's been quite a while. He seems to be more mature. Understand the world around us a little bit better than he did in Avengers. Because even in Avengers, he didn't understand like electricity and things of that nature too well. And so basically, he's working for Shield. He's been one of their agents for a while now, since he really doesn't have a home to go back to. Since he was kind of forced into this modern day situation, being unfrozen and basically trying to adjust to this life that Shield kind of forced him into. And things start to pick up around the time where Nick Fury is a target of an assassin that has been kind of a conspiracy for the longest time. People think he's a ghost. Some people don't think he exists. Only a few people and like very high authorities think he exists. And his name is the Winter Soldier. And so basically, like I said, he because this Winter Soldier is an assassin, Nick Fury is a target of this guy. And after this event happens, where the Winter Soldier tries to kill Nick Fury, there's a lot of trust issues that happened. Robert Redford's in the film, and he plays a guy named what's his name? I forget his name at the moment. It's the tip of my tongue. I just can't remember at the time I reviewed this. But basically, he's like the senior leader. Alexander Pierce, that's what it was. He's like the senior leader of the Shield organization, and even he's telling Captain America not to trust Nick Fury. And Nick Fury is, very aware and very quiet. And you'll see in one scene too, where like, basically Shield's been corrupted, and it's you really can't trust anybody anymore. And so Captain America gets desperate. He doesn't really know who to trust after a while. He eventually turns to Black Widow, who, after a series of events, he's able to trust, because there's a lot of things that require a lot of trust to get through some of these situations that he goes through throughout the movie. And he also manages to trust Falcon, who he meets early on in this film. And because Falcon really is not really a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, I looked this up online. He's really not related to S.H.I.E.L.D., but he does stuff related, like more military like stuff. And he just so happens to have a pack on him that, has wings and gives him the name Falcon, and, has a very S.H.I.E.L.D. like quality to the equipment. So basically, Black Widow and Falcon are his Captain America's two most trusted soldiers and friends throughout the film. And basically, throughout the course of the film, they're trying to figure out, who they can trust. Um, why is this happening? Why is there all these backstabbers? Why are all these people getting attacked? Why is Shield and the government freaking out about, all this alien life that happened throughout the Avengers? Why we have to have all these big, big weapons and big ships defending everybody, watching over everybody, making sure, a huge outbreak like the Chitauri invasion from the Avengers never happens again, and things of that nature. So the film explores all those things. So like I said, guys, I really enjoyed Captain America 2 a lot. I was very happy with it. It was definitely a film where there was very little complaints I had about it going on. Has a lot to say, because I'm very picky when it comes to movies. And when I say, that I walk away from a film having very little complaints about it, that's really saying a lot. Um, For the positives and negatives of this film, I love the direction they took with both Black Widow and Nick Fury. Black Widow specifically, I really like how she's trying to convince Steve Rogers to date again. It was really adorable too, by the way. Trying to convince him to date again. Giving him practice on kissing and things like that. And it was just really adorable. I really loved what Scarlett Johansson did with the role here. I don't know if that was the director's part or if that's a little something that she wanted to add in herself. But either way, it was absolutely adorable. I love that Scarlett Johansson did that for the role. Um, Nick Fury got a lot to do in this movie too, and for those who complain that he was underdeveloped, he had a lot to do in this movie. So if you were one of those people where you were unhappy with a little involvement that that Samuel L. Jackson had in previous films, he has a very big role in here, and it's very cool to see him in the movie. A lot of Marvel comic nods and homages happen throughout the film. Definitely a lot of foreshadowing to later movies. They talk about briefly, Bruce Banner and Tony Stark, where they might be hiding out and stuff at the moment. Um, so it was really cool to see all that happen throughout the film. Sets up for Captain America 3 really well. I can guarantee you, leaving this film, you're going to want Captain America 3 as soon as possible, and it's 2 years away from now, and 1 year away from Avengers 2, which comes out next year in 2015. But it sets up terrifically for Captain America 3. So, for those who really hope this film sets up well for a later Marvel film of some kind, once again, you won't be disappointed because it does that very, very well in this movie. I like how this film is both a great superhero film and a great espionage film. Definitely has like a Bourne identity feeling to it in certain scenes. And that's really cool. It really works well here. They handled it very well. Like I said, anything superhero related in the film was very well handled as well. A very engaging and entertaining experience. I was engaged and entertained the entire film. So once again, no complaints there. I thought the Winter Soldier himself was a very neat villain that they chose for the movie. I liked how he was mysterious. I liked how he didn't really have a lot to say. They definitely get into more detail of more of like the character behind him and stuff. I just really liked him as a villain. It was just very fun to see the Winter Soldier as a villain in this film. Very villainous, very evil, very brutal. You don't want to mess with the guy. It was just really good. I also really like too. In fact, this segment of the film almost brought tears into my eyes because it was just so beautifully well made. I really like how the film shows how Captain America left an impact on society. When we look back at World War II, and the super soldiers, and people that we looked up to through current wars, past wars. Even little kids look upon him when they bump into him by accident in this museum that he's looking at that has all this information about him. It's just very emotional and it has a huge impact on you, and I'm sure it had a huge impact on Steve Rogers and the storyline. Just very neat to see kind of what he's done for America and kind of the impact that he's left on us. Very, very powerful stuff that they did in the movie for those scenes. And then for the negatives, and I actually have only a few of them. They're just very, very minor nitpicks. Um, I would say there is a few scenes in here that get a little overly cheesy, like just scenes where Steve Rogers falls from like these huge, huge distances and lands on this concrete ground, and it's just very hard to believe that he's getting up and moving so well, and gets a little hard to believe after a while. It's hard to suspend disbelief at certain scenes, just because like I understand he's a super soldier. I understand that he's not invincible, but he might be close in certain aspects of his body. But I gotta say, some of those falls is like nobody could survive those falls. Nobody could survive those falls. I'm sorry. So just a few little overly cheesy parts of that happened. Um, there was also some convenient solutions every once in a while, specifically when they're in a huge situation where they only have a few seconds to figure something out. They just so happen to stand on top of the thing that gets them out, or they just so happen to have the weapon on them that manages to get them out of the situation. And it just felt very convenient in certain parts. So just a little minor nitpick there again. And then overall, I think the overall film is just not as good as the original Iron Man and not as good as the Avengers. But at the same time, the Avengers had this huge cast of superheroes. They had a great storyline. They had Josh Whedon doing it. And with Iron Man 1, it kind of set everything up. It was brand new, it was fresh at the time. So, once again, it's kind of hard to top that. And that's probably why Captain America 2 for me was not quite as good as those other two films. But, like I said, out of the Phase 2 Marvel films so far, this is easily the best of them that we've gotten so far. So, Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier, I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. I love this film. I guarantee it's going to be in my top 10 list at the end of the year. It's probably going to be my top three even for best films of the year. And like I said, we got a lot of films ahead of us, so it's kind of hard to say if this is number one or not. But I love this film. I guarantee it's going to be on the top 10 somewhere at least. And yeah, I love the film. I highly recommend it. If you love Marvel films, superhero films, or espionage films, Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier, you will not regret seeing. It's very, very well done. I absolutely love it. Make sure you see this film, guys. It's just absolutely well done.